এখন শুরু হয়নি। Good morning and warm welcome to all the students of 6th semester who are going to present their papers today as a part of the internal assessment examinations for the UG 6th semester level examinations of Vidyasagar University. Along with the students of the 6th semester, we also have students from the 4th semester of our department who will also be participating, mainly as they will be witnessing the paper presentations of the students, the elders who are going to present their paper. So before we begin today's program, along with me, my departmental colleague KD sir is also there. And today I and KD sir will evaluate the paper presentation by the 6th semester students. And we have already notified that each student will get 4 minutes to present his or her paper. And in chronological order, in alphabetically, the students will be called up to present his or her paper. So the first student who is going to present his paper is Abir Majumdar. So Abir, you may present your paper now. And one thing to note that if network permits, the student should switch on their camera. So Abir is the first student to present his paper. Abir, you may present your paper now.
Good morning, sir. I am Abir Majumdar. I am a student of English Department, 6th semester, SBSS. Today, my topic is Indianness in two letters. The English language become to the Indian subcontinent as a reminiscence and mass prize reward of the British colonial experience, which spans nearly all of the history of India become a unified nation, and it is the same understanding that one cannot refuse to accept that English as a language has played a pivotal role in the nationalist spirit and the minds of the Indian citizens who were divided on the basis of regional. Once a man was rowing in a sudden flood, just as he was about to drown. He found a raft, he clung to it, and it carried him safely to dry land. And he was so grateful to the raft that he carried it on his back for the rest of his life. Such colorful Indianism preeminence in Dixon, Idolium, and Immanuel dialogue of Mulk Raj Anand, one of the who one of the 1930s who established the Indian English novel. Anand has since then written 11 novels, many short stories that reflect on the issues that were relevant in then India, suitably justifying the Indian English short stories as the breath in the mirror. The short story Two Lady Rams is typically what Anand defined as highly developed from the folk tale that included philosophical understanding of the contemporary period. The short story comes as a social satire on the Angrezi Sarkar of India and highlights the tussle between the colonial subject and the colonial master. The story follows the same theme at two levels, where for one, Lalla Chindaram is the colonial subject to the department that acted on his majesty's behalf, and the second are the wives Sukhi and Sakuntala, who are the colonial subjects, sir. Jinder. As the story unfolds, one can understand the satire that stands to the highlights how poorly the colonial master governed over the subject of whom he knew and feared the last. The apparent honor of the knighthood, which is cunningly bestowed on the Chindaram and supported to raise his social status, helps to bring forth the negligence of the British state, and as for wives, the selfish decision of Lalla Jinda to take the second wife to his ceremony because otherwise she would abstain from entering him, shows the lack of regard and respect toward wives that were then treated as mere objects of the household. Another theme sadly addresses in the story is the trap between on-setting modernity and the fading tradition. Thus, even when Chindaram enjoys a sister and his mansion had an English style Golkarma or living room, he was addicted to marry two wives on the ground of Hindu law and demanded for his wife to dress in a traditional sari for the ceremony. In the hall, the household of Shindaram was on the margins of traditional and the cups of modern. And when the modern merged with the traditional, the two wives of Sir Shinda, the colonial anxiety is surfaced. It is the same light that one can imagine the last very serious comment. The three stern spoilers, said with respect to Chindaram and the Lady Rams as the drawing its symbolism to the state of Indian common folk, which struggle to obtain an identity through the modern Sakuntala but could not afford to lose the traditional pocket that had formed the whole truth of their survival. Another fact of the issues of identity comes through the tussle of Sakuntala and Sukhi, both of whom wished to be Lady Ram since the women of colonial India were recognized by the name of their husband. Anand comments on the lack of individual identity of women in marriage and through his female characters attempts to inspire revolution in the women to fight for their rights. The two lady rams runs as a comical account of the lady of a shopkeeper's life who is based down to the highest honor in British Raj, only to add mystery to his life, a misery which does not come from poverty or exploitation, but whose cause is overabundance of undone. Thus, even when the story is not the whole truth, yet it is derived from the truth of the lives of the Indians. In addition, the story places is a satire on the sleeping Indian spirit and the so-called collaboration of the British Raj who, out of selfish motives, served in the colonial master. By the extension of the story, therefore, comes with the hidden message of the allegory involved in the service of the British, then which come with the losses of one's intensity and common senses with Chindaram. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Abir. Abir presented his paper on Mulkraj Anand's Two Lady Ram. The topic was Indianness in the Two Lady Rams. Now, the next student who is going to present the paper is Anup Patra. Anup, you may present your paper now.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. Welcome you all. My name is Anup Patra. sixth semester English honors student of Santal Bidroha, Sardha Satabarshiki Mahavidyalaya. My presentation is Manto use of the metaphor of madness in Provatic Singh. Provatic Singh, which describes the exchange of mental image between India and Pakistan in the wake of partition, was perhaps Sadat Hassan Mansour's most well-known short story. Mansour's work was colored by his experience of mental illness, including alcohol addiction and possible depressive disorder. The SG attempts to use protecting as a lens through which to shine an integrative light on the role of mental illness is Mansour's work and life by discussing his personal theme of mental illness in the story and the implication of his writing in the historical context of post-partisan South Asia, partisan literature, mental illness, addiction. Thank you, sir.
Anup has concluded his paper in a very quick manner. The next student to present the paper is Arindam Banerjee. As the students are given 4 minutes of time, uh, the students should keep in their mind to utilize the particular time of 4 minutes.
Within this time, before starting, I want to say, please express confidently. Your voice should be clear. Okay, as this should reach to the audience clearly. Okay, start.
Arindam, you may present your paper now. Arindam Banerjee.
Orindam, response please. If you are ready.
Uh,
Uh,
from the participants list, I can see that Arindam has not joined.
oh,
We are not aware if Arindam is using any other profile, but as he has not responded, therefore we would ask Baisakhi Lohar to present her paper. Baishakhi, you may present your paper now.
Good morning, everyone. I am Baisakhi Lohar, a student of 6th semester in English department of SBSS Mahavidyalaya. And today my presentation is ecological awareness in Abhigyan Shakuntalam. Since the time immemorial, poets, dramatists, and writers have sung praise of wild expressions. Forests, rivers, mountains, birds, and the whole of majestic nature. Pristine environment has been one of the major sources of inspiration. When Kalidas wrote Avigyan Shakuntalam, he placed the lovely heroine of the play in the lap of Mother Nature. Shakuntala is an integral part of the flora and fauna. To be true, Dushyant just did not fall in love with lovely lady alone. He is enchanted by the whole idea of an innocent natural beauty in the forest. If we place Shakuntala in concrete setting detached from the beauty of nature, she would not be that appealing. Shakuntala can only be conceived in our mental eye and aesthetic sense with flowers adorned on her body and with deer and birds surrounding her. She is as innocent, as pure, and as natural as the other creatures of the forest. She does not put on gold or diamond jewels. Flowers of different colors are her earrings, bangles, and necklaces. This is how Kalidas has used nature in his works. Nature is instrumental in the development of the story. The keywords are Upanishad, Sanskrit literature, Sri Ramcharitmanas, Paryavaram, Vedas, cultural substratum, ecoritism, Indian culture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Baishakhi. The next student to present her paper is also Baishakhi, another Baishakhi, Baishakhi Mandi. So, Baishakhi, you may present your paper now. Baishakhi Mandi.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Baishakhi, you are audible.
Yes, you are audible. Yes. You can start your presentation.
Baishakhi, your microphone has switched off. Uh, do switch on your microphone and present your paper.
Hello, sir.
Now you are audible.
Yes, my name is Baisakhi Mandi. Today is my presentation is Indians to Lady Rams. The story Two Lady Rams revolves around the theme called Indians. It is very difficult to define the meaning of the term in clear sense and phrase words. It is like a word umbrella and comprise of everything deeply rooted in the Indian culture and soil. Mulkraj Anand is the writer of the Two Lady Rams. He is one of the prominent Indian literary figure of 1930s. It is a short story about Lala Chindaram and his two wives, Suki and Shakuntala. The two wives constantly battling between themselves for their husband's attention. Confused, Chindaram divides the house into wings, one for each wife. He also divides the household works to keep both of them far apart from each other. The conflict arose when Chindaram was given the knighthood and invited to the garden party along with Lady Ram. Since the invitation mentioned Lady Ram, he had to choose one of his wives for the garden party. The above story points out the bigamy that was once accepted by the Indian society. It is a humorous story but criticizing the social standards. It out the downside of the Indian patriarchal society as it is shown that men were free to marry multiple times if their wife is unable to bear children, highlighting the discrimination against the women that existed in the society. It also brings out the fact that women did not have their individual identity and often referred with the husband's name and occupation. In the story, the first wife of Sindaram accepted her truth about her husband's second marriage with any protest against the injustice down towards her. It is shown that a woman's only value is her ability to produce their hair for the family, portraying a certain double standard that excited no existed in the Indian society where women were defined according to their Sophia. The story brings out the constant struggle between two wives to get the attention of their husband. It is also astonishing as a reader to find a woman willing to marry an already married man. It is also noticed in the story that Sindaram is able to bend or make new rules according to his will as he had the power and money to do so, which concludes that irrespective of time and eras, power and money has always been the deciding factor in most fields. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Baishakhi. Baishakhi's paper was also on Indianness into Lady Ramps. The next student to present paper is Chandrani Das. Chandrani, you may begin your presentation now.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chandrani Das. I am a student of 6th sem in Goaltore SBSS Mahavidyalaya. I am going to summarize my topic, different reactions to scorpion bite in Night of the Scorpion. Nizim Ezekiel's Night of the Scorpion is one of the most remarkable poems in the entire gamut of Indian English poetry. It was included in his anthology The Exact Name in 1964. The poem highlights a superstition laden Indian society in a manner that is at once detached and appealing. The poem Night of the Scorpion can be read as a revealing study in Indian culture, which often thrives on superstition. The poet narrates what happened to his mother when she was stung by a scorpion one rainy night. Like swarms of flies, the villagers came to her rescue. The way the villagers showed the house reminds us of the traditional corporate life the Indian villagers. Scientific medical treatment was still unknown to the village folk. Hence, they began to buzz the name of God to ease the effect of the sting. Then they began to look for the scorpion. This was because they believed that the pain of the woman's body kept moving with each movement of the scorpion. But nothing seemed to bear fruit. So they thought the pain in the woman's body had to do something with some relation to the sins of her present or next life. The husband of the woman was skeptic and rationalist. He did not share the views of the naive villagers. Hence, he applied powder, mixture, and herbs to the beaten spot. He also poured paraffin and put a match to it. However, all his treatment also proved futile. It was only after a lapse of 20 hours that the pain naturally wore off, and the woman heaved a sigh of relief. Even so, he did stand for reason, unlike all others on the scene. The relieved mother, for the first time, found words to thank God for sparing her children and making the scorpion sting her instead of her children. It should, however, be noted that the poet takes a perfectly detached view of the situation. He does not admire the one who stands for reason. He only views the situation as an onlooker. If he does anything, he only casts an ironical smile. As an onlooker on one of the ever so common incidents within his society that feeds on superstition. Thank you for all listening my presentation.
Thank you, Chandrani. Dolonchanpa Kundu is The next student to present the paper, Dolonchanpa, you may begin your presentation now.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dolonchanpa Kundu, 6th semester student of English department. My presentation topic is Girish Khanna Tughlaq as a political satire. Tughlaq is Girish Khanna's second play, which was published in 1964. It was based on historical event in India in the 14th century. Tughlaq whimsical decision like shifting the capital from Delhi to Dolatabad, as well as introducing copper coin, brought to him the title of the Mad Sultan. He was the first king who was secular enough and treated all his non-Muslim subjects quite sympathetically, though this never benefited them. The play is based on historical background, but the unique treatment of the play makes it more than a historical play. Girish Khanna also makes use of the device of exchange. The play does not merely present a picture of the past, but highlights its implication for the present. An analogy is developed between Tughlaq's reign in the play and the political situation of the Nehruvian era. This analogy of contemporary relevance, this analogy and its appropriateness make the play unique in terms of contemporary relevance. Even after years of its first publication, the play continues to be perceived as being contemporary. There is a consistent conflict between reality and what is assumed to be the ideal state of affairs. The problem at the thematic level in the play Tughlaq is more important because it is a scathing critique of Nehru and many of his actions as the Prime Minister of independent India. Tughlaq is shown as being more sympathetic to the Hindus in the play as a strategy of protect himself as a genuine secularist and to convince them that they are kept under his reign. In a deeper kin, though it is a genuine echo of Nehru's excessive sympathy for the Muslim under the guise of secularism. Tughlaq tries to draw a line of demarcation between religion and politics in the play, and the more he attempts to do it, the more they get mingled. The same thing has happened in the Nehruvian era and has continued ever since. Both religion and politics have been mingled and merged into one another to such an extent that religion is used in modern time for political purpose and political for religious purpose. This way, in Tughlaq, Girish Khanna satirically presents the political conflict and problems, and more importantly, offers a striking similarity between the political scenario of 14th century India in and India of the Nehruvian era in the 60s. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolonchanpa. Hemal Hembram will be the next student to present his paper. Hemal, you may present your paper now.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are perfectly audible.
You are
Now
audible
confused.
as well as visible.
Good morning to you all. I am Hemal Hembram, a student of 6th semester, Department of English, SBSS Mahavidyalaya. The topic of my presentation is Girish Khanna's Tughlaq as a political satire. Sir, can I present my screen?
Yes, you can present.
Sir, is my slide visible?
Yes, it is visible. You can continue.
Girish Khanna's second play Tughlaq was published in 1964 and was an immediate success on the stage. It was first produced in Kannada in 1965 and by the same time in Hindi by the National School of Drama. Bengali and Marathi productions followed, and in 1970 there was a major success. The reason of the immediate response for this play is the interesting story, intricate plot, and the scope for spectacle. Another reason is that it is a play of the 1960s and pictures the political mood of disillusionment which followed the Nehru era in the country. Girish Khanna was a well-known playwright, actor, and film director. His mother tongue was Konkani, but he wrote most of his plays in Kannada language and have been translated into English and some other Indian languages. In his works, we can sense the reality of Indian culture and society. Most of his works represents his study of philosophy, politics, and economics. He spoke passionately on various political matters during his lifetime. His major works include Yayati, Tughlaq, Hayavadana, and Nagamandala. The present play deals with the themes like idealistic leadership, the idea of religious tolerance, disguise, violence, and power and misuse, and symbols like prayer, sleep, chess, etc. Allegory of literary device, in which a character plays an event is used to express an important message about the normally do not directly express hidden meanings. In addition, hidden or complex meanings through symbolic figures. The writer uses this device to deliver a broader message about real-world issues and occurrences. For that, having the play Kannada chooses the real character Tughlaq, which has the same analogy with the Nehruvian era. He emphasizes on the idea of political aspiration and its reality. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the protagonist and the title bearer of the play Tughlaq, was one of the most controversial and eccentric rulers of India. He was a brilliant but spectacularly unsuccessful 14th century Islamic sultan and was nicknamed as the Mad Muhammad by his citizens. Carnot arranged the 13 scenes of Tughlaq that articulate both political and psychological ironies. The opening of the play is set in front of the Chief Court of Justice in Delhi, and there is a crowd of Muslims and Hindus. The drama sets into action with an exclamation, God, what's this country coming to? Though the exclamation is addressed by an individual, it is the one in every Indian mind today seeing the present scenery. Hence, the play has a significant opening. In the beginning of Tughlaq's reign, when he is in Delhi, he is a man of high ideals. He tries to introduce that would benefit his citizens. But it earned him only the nickname Muhammad the Mad. Karnat depicts Tughlaq as one who sought to put aside religious differences in the hope of embracing secularism is a powerful issue in the drama. Tughlaq wishes for the unity between the Hindus and the Muslims. Tughlaq's vision fails here, which has a sense of analogy of the time the play was written. In 1964, India had been less than 2 decades removed from partition and independence, which led to a notion where direction and transformative vision was hard to establish. A nation born from Gandhian principles was tangled among sectarian violence and communal hatred, which are the very elements that Kant desires to overcome in the drama. The theme of political aspiration being limited by temporal reality, significant drama and historical condition in which it was written. Tughlaq's initial judgment of Hindus in the jizya tax is misunderstood by the citizens and side moves. Tughlaq's policies and methods of political actions formulated with far-sighted vision of establishing a secular kingdom, but are instant failures as they fail to relate to the immediate reality of the subjects. So we can conclude that Tughlaq is a historical play, but while writing it, Karnad himself was struck by the parallelism between the reign of Tughlaq and contemporary history. The political chaos which Karnad depicts in Tughlaq reminds many readers of the Nehru era in the Indian history. Karnad finds this similarly a coincidence. At every step, the play reflects the chaos, disillusionment, and corruption that followed the Nehru era. And this is one of the most important reasons of the popularity of the play. Tughlaq ruled in the 14th century and Nehru in the 1950s and 1960s. Striking parallels can be drawn between the two ages, and this makes Tughlaq a great political satire. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Hemal. Hemal presented his paper on Girish Khanna's Tughlaq as a political satire, and Hemal also used PowerPoint presentation and shared his screen for the audience. So thank you, Hemal, for your presentation. Now, Jayanta Singh Mahapatra will present his paper. Jayanta, you may begin your presentation now.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Jayanta Patra. I am a student of English department, 6th semester, SBSS. My topic is maternal trauma of partition in the final solution. The partition has been one of the most traumatic events in the history of the Indian subcontinent, leaving deep physiological scars that continue to haunt us within and without. As Ashish Nandi and many others have commented, silence became the main physiological defense of the survivors, which is why researchers have had to wait long and dig deep for partisan narratives, along with the oblivion of silence. Women, especially mothers, as double victims of the both political power structures and the violations of the partisan, have had to face insecure from the partisan discourse as well. This is particularly ironic when juxtaposed with the requirement image of Mother India as a rallying symbol of nationalist discourse. How the growth of a new nation caused immense suffering to real mothers. To this purpose, the paper will focus on a close reading of a few short stories that write about maternal trauma and loss during the partition. Thus, the researcher has closely studied for stories written by Bengali writers, two from India, two from Bangladesh, regarding the experiences of mothers during the Bengal partition. The, the paper aims of The paper aims to relate these to non-fiction oral partisan narratives by mothers as recorded in the words of Urvashi Bhutalia and Ritu Menon at Zuban and Women United respectively. The paper hopes to establish how the maternal body, whatever uh, iconography, history of or fiction, was literally torn apart, and how the mothers negotiated the pains and for their births and deaths. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Jayanta has already completed his paper. Sir,
Yes, Jayanta has completed, as Koushik sir already pointed out earlier at the beginning of the uh, presentation, that the student should present their papers with full confidence. So read the paper uh, in a very loud and clear manner. So with full confidence, you should present your paper. Do not hesitate to present your paper in any way, as all the participants and the audience, they are also your friends. The next person or the next student to present the paper is Koushik Ahir. So Koushik, you may present your paper now.
Yes, sir. Sir, am I audible?
you are perfectly audible.
Yes. First of all, I bow to our all honorable teachers who are present here today. Good morning, sir, and good morning to my brothers and sisters and all of my friends who are also present here today. My name is Koushik Ahir, and I'm a 6th semester student of English department of SBSS Mahavidyalaya. Today I'm here to give you a view of romantic and political intrigue in Mrichakarika. Mrichakarika is a 10-act Sanskrit drama credited to Sudraka, an ancient playwright who lived in the 5th century BCE and is characterized in the prologue as a Kshatriya ruler as well as Shiva devotee and who lived for more than 110 years. In Richakarika, the love world of Ujjain is foregrounded through the description of Vasantasena's palace, tracing her journey to her lover in the middle of a monsoon reflects Indian sensuousness. There is a complex relationship in the text with the society by establishing relationship between romantic and political intrigue. Sudraka shows this love between the merchant and courtesan as part of a new, reformed and radicalized social order. This love, which would have been frowned upon in the old social regime of King Palaka, he finds institutional acceptance and recognition with the founding of a new social order under King Areka. When Basantasena and Charudatta decide to meet in a pleasure garden outside of the city to bring social infamy and disrepute upon the nobility of the passion between them, the very reason thwarting the fulfillment of romantic passion between Charudatta and Vasantasena is political. In the Act 7, we can see Charudatta accidentally meets Areka, the future king who arrives in the coachment to carry Vasantasena. Thus, this comic exchange of carriage again intertwines the political and the romantic plots together. It is Charudatta, the non-royal, who manifests the refinement and true aesthetic taste and sensibility and courtly courtesan of a Rosika and not the royal brother-in-law Sakara. It is Charudatta who symbolically inaugurates a new order based on sanitationalized concept of virtue as sympathetic generosity. Similarly, on the other hand, Vasantasana's role is to sell her body to the highest bidder. She is the most sought after courtesan in the city. And that shows the actual romantic and political intrigue in the play Mrichakarika. Thank you, sir. All of it.
Thank you, Koushik. We are already in the midway of the presentation by the students. The next student to present her paper is Mamata Das. Mamata, you may begin your presentation now.
Good morning, respected teachers. Here presented all my lovely juniors and my batchmates. I am Mamata Das, a student of 6th semester in English department from this institute. Today I am going to talk about the maternal trauma of partition in the final solution. The partition has been one of the most traumatic events in the history of the Indian subcontinent, leaving deep psychological scars that continue to haunt us within and without. As Ashish Nandi and many others have commented, silence becomes the main psychological defense of the survivors, which is why researchers have had to wait long and dig deep for partisan narrative. The final solution is a story by Manik Bandyopadhyay, who is an Indian Bengali writing about the destruction of values and the politics of powers and sexuality in the spiraling refugee problem in Calcutta, which was a direct aftermath of the 1947 partition. Many of the Hindu families who left their home in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, and come to West Bengal in India could not find refuge in the overcrowded camps. They were forced to settle in any place they could find, including public places like the Sialdah railway station. The protagonist of the story, Mallika, resides on this railway platform. Mallika's family had a place, the length of a spread out mattress. Everyone is squished in there. Mallika, her husband Bhushan, and their 2.5 years old son Khokon, and her widowed sister-in-law Asa. 10 suitcases, beddings, bundles, pots, and pens. The very precariousness and transit ordinance of such a location foregrounds the family's rootless and established existence, and the irony of having a mattress kingdom is suffered in the context of the irreversible displacement suffered by them. When the thought Pramotha comes to Malika with the offer of some job still available for women, she understands the risks. Yet one look at her child, now reduced to a skeleton, makes her agree because, as she says, there is no other way out for us. It is the compensation of maternal love that prompts her to compromise her body and self respect. As she says to her sister in law Asa, I would be ready to die if that could keep my child alive. Yet she is repulsed when Pramotha was going to engage her in prostitution, but she could not tolerate the thought that he had planned to enjoy her first before introducing her to the profession. Whereas prostitution is like a humiliating yet depressionalist and necessary act she must engage into in the hope of a better present for her son. Pramotha's violation of her body is like a personal betrayal of her trust in him. This act of betrayal breaks the boundaries of her patience and she strangles him to death. The money she takes from the dead man's pockets represents the final solution to her. As she says, in the end, we'll never be hungry again. My son will have milk 4 times a day. The act of murdering Pramotha empowers her, and she says, what did he take me for? Am I weak just because I am a woman? The text is open-ended. The writer does not judge her morally or punish her legally, and even the reader is compelled to withhold judgment in the context of the shared desperations of the plight of the refugee mother. Thank you. I am submitted my presentation.
Thank you, Mamata, for your presentation. Milan Karak is the next student to present his paper. Milan, you may begin your paper presentation.
Am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are.
I am Milan Karak, a student of 6th sem of English department of SBSS Mahavidyalaya. My presentation is Indianness, Indianness, Indianness into Redam, to Redam. Now I am summarizing my presentation. The story to Redam revolves around the theme called Indianness. It is a very difficult to define the meaning of term in glass sense of previous word. It is like a border, umbrella, and compromise of everything deeply rooted in the Indian culture and soul. Mughal Anand is the writer of the two Lady Rams. He is the one of prominent Indian literature figure of 1930s. It is a short story about Lala Jindaram and two wives, Sokhi and Sukuntala. The two wives constantly bidding between themselves for their husband attendance. Confused, Jindaram divides the house into two wings, one of each wife. He also divides the household workers to keep both of them to apart from each another. The conflict aside, when the Jindaram was given to night food and invited to the garden party along with the Lady Ram. Since the invitation mentioned the Lady Ram, he had to choose one of his wife for the garden party. Two above story pointed out the big and any that was expected by the Indian society. It is a humorous story and criticizing the social tenders. It is out of downside of the Indian patriarchal society. It is a shown that the man were free to marry multiple times to their wife to unable to bear children, highlighting the discrimination against the woman that existed in the society. It is also being the fact the women did not have their individual identity and often refused within the husband name and occupation. In the story, the first wife Jindaram expected to the understood about the husband second marriage with any postates against the injustice down in towards her. It is shown that the woman's only the value his ability to persuade her family and protecting certain double standard that the exit of the Indian society where women were defined to according to their husband. The story the story is bring out the conscious struggle between two wives to get the attendance of their husband. It is also stirring to reader to find women willing to marry and already married It is also noticed that the story is Jindaram to able to bend to make new rules according to his will. He also had the power of money and do so, which is considered to respected of the time, eras, power, and money has always been the deciding factor of the most field. Now I am presenting my solution. So thank you everyone.
Thank you, Milan. Now Mohit Soren will present his paper. Mohit, you may begin your presentation now.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. I am Mohit Soren, student of English Department of 6th semester of Santal Sardha Satabarshiki Mahavidyalaya. The topic of my presentation is different reaction to scorpion bite in Night of the Scorpion. The topic belongs to the poem Night of the Scorpion, and this poem is written by Nisim Ezekiel. He, uh, he is an Indian Jewish poet. In the poem, The Night of the Scorpion, the poet depicts the selfless love of a mother who is stung by a scorpion. However, he does not write about his own feelings or reaction. Most of the poem is in the third person, as Ezekiel reports on what other people do and say and uses various image and scenes to make us visualize the scenes. The first part is long and full of activity as we see how the villagers react and act to the scorpion's bite by engaging in some kind of witch hunt. In the poem Night of the Scorpion, the poet tells us due to rain, a scorpion entered the poet's house and stung the poet's mother. The poison was spreading through the body of the mother. The mother suffers the bite of the scorpion. She groans and moans on the mat, twisting and turning in pain. The farmers in the village came to know that the mother was bitten by a scorpion. They rushed to her house like swarms of flies. They had candles and lanterns in their hand. They searched for the scorpion, but they could not find it. They were uneducated and they had their own village god. They uttered the name of the god to paralyze the evil one that had entered the mother's body. The peasant believed that poison in the mother's blood, moved swiftly as the scorpion moved. The villagers did not do anything to help the mother. They reacted unscientifically to the scorpion bite. They give their own super philosophical and religious interpretations for the incident. They believed the scorpion bite was universe's plan to cure the mother of her previous birth, or maybe the next birth reduce her suffering. They also feel that the sum of goodwill balance her suffering against that of the sum of evil. The poet then turns to the reaction of the father, who is not religious and does not believe in superstitions. He was skeptic and rationalist, so he did not compromise with the beliefs of the villagers. He applied different kinds of medicinal herbs, mixture, powder, hybrid. He also melted paraffin and poured it on the beaten dough and set fire to it. The father tested every scientific way to find the uh, recovery. After 20 hours, the mother was saved. At last, the poet implies that after cured, his mother reaction is different. His mother was happy and she thanked God because the scorpion has bitten her, not her children. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mohit. After Mohit, we have Momita Dash. And I now ask Momita to present a paper.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Momita Das, and I am a student of the 6th SEM Paschim in English Honours from this institute. I am going to talk on the topic Girish Khanna's Tughlaq as a political satire. Girish Khanna was one of the greatest of Indian dramatists writing in English. He was a versatile genius, and his versatility is to be found in the composition of his plays. Girish Khanna has composed various kinds of the play, and most of his plays deal with history, mythology, and folk tales, and this is how he tackled the contemporary themes in his own way. Cornard's second play is Dubai. He wrote this play in Kannada and later on translated into English. This play also met with immediate success, and this brought him name, fame, and glory. In the period after this publication, Cornard established himself as a first-ranking Indo-Anglian dramatist. Girish Karnad was told by someone that there are no good history plays in India, and so he decided to write one. He delved deep into history, beginning with Ishwari Prasad. According to Karnad, Tughlaq was the most extraordinary character to ascend the throne of Delhi. The staging of Tughlaq was a tremendously successful event. Tughlaq is basically a play about the overambitious yet religious kind Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Tughlaq is one of the most controversial and eccentric rulers of India. The opening of the play is set in front of the Chief Court of Justice in Delhi, and there is a crowd of Muslim and Hindus. Cornard depicts Tughlaq as one who sought to put aside religious difference in the hope of embracing secularism is a powerful issue in the drama. Tughlaq wishes for the unity between the Hindus and the Muslims, stating, Daulatabad is a city of Hindus and as the capital. It will symbolize the bond between Muslims and Hindus. Tughlaq's vision fails here, which has a sense of analogy of the time the play has written. The theme of political aspiration being limited by temporal reality is significant both in the drama and the historical condition in which it was written. Cornard's Tughlaq is considered as a persuasive allegory on the Nehruvian era. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Momuta, for your presentation. And the next student to present paper today is Mrinal Manna. Now, may I request Mrinal to present his paper. Mrinal, present your paper now.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mrinal Manna, 6th semester English Honours students of Santal Bidroha Sardha Satabarshiki Mahavidyalaya. My presentation is Manto's use of the metaphor of madness in Tobatic Singh. Tobatic Singh, which describes the exchange of mental imitates between India and Pakistan in the wake of partition, was perhaps Sadat Hasan Manto's most well-known short story. This is the attempt to use Tobatic Singh as a lens through which the shine and interrogative light on the role of mental illness. Manto's work and life and the implications of his writing in the historical context of post-partition South Asia. Sadat Hasan Manto was among the most famous controversial Urdu writers of the 20th century. Although he was a writer of easy plays, film, scripts, and novel, he was best known for his short stories. Born in Punjab, his writing career really took off in Bombay. It has been established that Manto suffered mental health problems. Colored his work, Manto's childhood was emphasized by a difficult relationship with his father, who died when Manto was 18 years old. His mother, who was the second wife, was shown contempt by Manto's paternal family. Manto's writing in general and Tobatexian in particular was colored by his own mental health problems, namely alcohol addiction and possibly description to order to shed further light on the relationship between his literature and mental illness in the Indian subcontinent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mrinal. The next student to present her paper is Nilima Mahata. Nilima, you may begin your presentation now.
Good morning, sir, and good morning, everyone. I am Nilima Mahata, student of English Honours, Goaltore, SBSS Mahavidyalaya. I am presenting my seminar presentation. Today, my topic is legal point and Draupadi's question in the dashing for the book of the Assembly Hall. Extracted. The character of the Draupadi is Mahabharata has generally been read through the victim and repeated lens where she was either seen and began at the receiving or violence or as an agent of the questioning. The very violence or as that was the assembly hall, the scene of the violence. The present paper reading the character of Draupadi in a new light as a learned scholar and dilection who was well versed in the issues debates of law, the legal code, and the codification system of the ethos. The paper of the argues that it was her act challenging and negation the prevalent, large and masculine judicial system that was the end of the fitting and alternative legal system. She was possessed here and raising question against the abstract concept and society in the ancient time was based and sustained itself both of the comic principle and hold end of the kindly counterpart which was the execute she marks as parliament staff and the punctual dance. Hereby the possessing and foolish and weakness also the possible. Keywords Draupadi Mahabharata Dressing Law in Dharma. When Duryodhana lost everything one by one, he went to put himself brothers and stock and lost them too. Then he went to put himself at the lost again. Now all them Padmas were like the salt to Duryodhana and Duryodhana instant that he still has Draupadi with him and if he wins their round, he can talk book everything that he lost before. Likely Yudhishthir and Duryodhana to put his wife and Bhanumati and stop addicted to the game. Duryodhana put Draupadi lost to the Shakuni. Draupadi heard of the incident and questioned them that how come to Yudhishthir can put her stop him already lost himself. She refuses to appear court. Draupadi questioned everyone in the court. Duryodhana ordered Dushasana to drag her in the court. Draupadi questioned everyone in the court about how Yudhishthir can place herself as beat it morally, legally. Duryodhana evilness continues. At the time, Vikarma stood to the Draupadi and said, Duryodhana has no right to put Draupadi at stop. Later, Karna stood for the Duryodhana and answered that Draupadi belonging the Yudhishthir just like the brothers and technically Duryodhana won the game. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nilima. Nilima presented her paper on the dicing from the book of the Assembly Hall from Mahabharata. The next student to present today is Priyanka Duley. Priyanka, you may present your paper now.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. I am Priyanka Duley, and I am going to present my topic, Monte's use of the metaphor of madness in Tobetaxin. Sir, can I share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Yes, sir.
Priyanka, we can now see your screen.
Okay, sir. Tobetaxin was written by Sadathoshan Manto. Tobetaxin, which describes the exchange of mental assailant inmates between India and Pakistan in the wake of partition, was perhaps Sadathoshan Manto's most well-known short story. Manto's work was colored by his experience of mental illness, including alcohol addiction and possible description disorder. His essay attempts to use the Tobetaxin as a lens through which to shine an interrogative light on the role of mental illness in Monto's work and life. By discussing his personal experience, themes, and mental illness in the story, and the implication of his writing in his historical context of post-partition South Asia. Tobetaxin is a short story written by Sadathoshan Manto and published in 1955. It follows intimates in Lahore, Assam, some of whom are to be transferred to India following the 1947 partition. The story is powerful satire on the relationship between India and Pakistan. We here you see about Sadathoshan Manto. She born in Punjab, Lahore, British India, and later after the partition of India and Pakistan. Writing mainly in Urdu, he produced 22 collections of short stories and novels, 5 stories of radio plays, their 3 collections of essay and 2 collections of personal sketches. His best short stories are critics. He is best known for his stories about the partition of India, which he observed immediately following independence in 1947. He received his early education at Muslim High School at Amritsar, where he twice failed his matrical examination. In 1931, he got admitted to the Hindu Sabha College, but dropped out after first year due to poor results. The big turning point in his life came in 1933 at the age of 21 when he met Abul Badi Ali, a scholar and Polonic writer who encouraged him to find his true talent and told him to read Russian and French authors. Bari also encouraged him to translate Victor Hugo's The Last Day of a Condiment When Man into Urdu and Oscar Wilde's Vera 1934 in Urdu. Monto's first oriented short story, Tamasha, published in Abul Barik Ali's Urdu newspaper Tughlaq. Tobetaxin is published in 1955. It is a dark comedy satire. It is written in Urdu. Its setting is in lunatic asylum in Lahore. We here see the main protagonist of this short story, Bishan Singh. Bishan Singh is a Sikh man. He once had a huge property in Tobetaxin, place in Pakistan. He had been in the assembly for nearly 2 decades and never spoke to anyone save some jumbles mumblings. He was often visited by his family, by his daughter, who grew up to become a young woman, while he remained locked inside. However, since the violence post-partition, they had not came. Vishan Singh kept asking everyone at the asylum as to which country gained Tobetaxin, but no one had any clear answer. Here we can see that Sadathoshan Manto suffering from mental illness because his father was died in 18 years. Since he was in 18 years old, his father was died. Monto, afraid of his father, even
on occasion jumping from the rooftop to escape him. Their motto describes his depressed mental state, even referring, referring to suicide. Monto's sister miscarriage, recalling his emotional and mental torment at the time he committed suicide. Monto became an alcoholic addiction. After he became alcoholic addiction, his family put him in anti-alcoholic ward of hospital in 1951 and to 1952. After at the age of 42, he died because of alcoholic. In the mental illness as a theme in Tibet, Monto's use of the partition of reflect madness of what was happening outside was poignant. All these lunatics in the assembly who had at least some sins left were uncreated, whether they were in Pakistan or India. If they were in Pakistan, then where was Pakistan? If they were in Pakistan, how could it be possible when only a short while ago they had been in India without having moved at all? The protection was written after Montos in hospital and was clearly influenced by his experience. Perhaps even the choice of write about a mental assembly was the conclusion of his hospitality. A character of Vishal Singh represents a symbolic commentary on the trauma of displacement. Monto's writing is general and Tobetexin is particular, was colored by his own mental health problems, mainly alcohol addiction and possibly depression. Even the choice of use mental asylum of reflect the madness of partisan was intimately reflect on his experience. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Priyanka. We have three more students to present their paper. Therefore, we are coming towards the concluding section of this paper presentation today. The next student to present her paper is Priyanka Tudu. Priyanka, you may begin your presentation now.
Yes, sir. Good morning to everyone present over here, respected teachers, my fellow friends, and juniors. I am Priyanka Tudu of 6th semester English department, and today I would like to present before you the presentation which I had prepared on the topic The Dicing from the Book of the Assembly Hall, which consists of its legal points and Draupadi's questions. First of all, let me share my screen with all of you for a better understanding. Sir,
Yes, you are visible. And your screen is visible.
Priyanka, your screen is not visible now. Yes, we can now see your screen.
okay, sir.
But she is not audible actually. Are you presenting?
Just a minute.
Okay.
Sir, is it visible?
Yes.
Now I'm audible?
Yes. Both you are audible and visible.
Okay, sir. Now in the dicing from the book of the Assembly Hall by Krishna Vyas or Krishna Dvaipayana, better known as Vyas or Ved Vyas. The one who classified the Vedas is a central and revered sage portrayed as the author of the Mahabharata. He is also regarded by many Hindus as the compiler of a number of significant scriptures. In the book, Vyas had mentioned that the game of dice, which takes place between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, two branches of the same tree, this is the first time that actual conflict of success succession had taken place, in which two sides have staked their claim for which they are willing to fight to the finish. What is dicing? It is gambling or playing with dice. Whereas the dicing from the book of the Assembly Hall is an event where Yudhishthira takes his wealth, jewelry, Indraprasth, and the belongings of his brothers one by one and loses one by one, at least taking his wife too. Legal points and Draupadi's questions. The messenger enters Draupadi's chamber and asks her to be present in the assembly. After the cruel throw of fate, she sends him back with the questions. Whom did you lose first, yourself or me? It was legal question at that point of time, but later she turns it into a moral question in the assembly. Is it right or fair that a woman, let alone a queen, become a slave because her husband stepped her in a gambling game? Whose lost what thou at the time thou lost me in play, didst thou lose yourself first or me? Asked Draupadi to her husband Yudhishthira in the Kuru Sabha royal court. It was a hopeless situation. Yudhishthira has staked and lost everything in the dice game, all his wealth, his kingdom, his brothers, himself, and worse, even his wife. To his further humiliation, Duryodhana got the Shasana to drag Draupadi from her chambers to the royal court to proclaim her as his slave. And here was a strong and proud woman who refused to accept this humiliation, the claim of Duryodhana. Conclusion. The game of dice was the traumatic turning point and had a crucial significance in the great epic Mahabharata, because if there would have been no game of dice, there would have been no disgrace and humiliation of the Pandavas and molestation.
There is something technical problem, technical issues. Priyanka is not audible.
Yes. So we will wait for a few more seconds. There is a technical glitch, and therefore Priyanka is not audible right now. So wait for a few more seconds.
Hello, Priyanka. Can you listen? Hello. Priyanka, can you listen to us?
Yes, sir. Actually, it's
Yes.
a network problem.
Yes, I know it. You can just conclude your paper. Do you want to conclude?
Hello, sir.
Yes, you can conclude your paper. Just
Okay,
the
sir.
last part.
Priyanka, if technical problem persists, then you may read out the concluding part of your presentation.
Okay, sir.
Priyanka, your mic has already, it has been switched off again. So switch on the mic and just conclude your paper.
Okay, I think there is any trouble. We
Hello,
can
sir.
proceed. Yes.
Sir, can you
Yes,
hear
you
me?
are audible. Yes, yes. You
Okay, sir.
can conclude.
In conclusion, I would like to say that the game of dice was the traumatic turning point and had a crucial significance in the great epic Mahabharata, because if there would have been no game of dice, there would have been no disgrace and humiliation of the Pandavas and molestation of Queen Draupadi. So thank you.
So Priyanka Tudu has concluded her paper. We have two puja, and first Puja Dash is going to present a paper, and after Puja Dash concludes her paper presentation, then we have another Puja Day to present her paper. So now Puja Dash is going to present her paper. Puja, you may begin your presentation now.
Good morning, everyone. I am Puja Das, student of 6th semester of SBSS Mahavidyalaya. Today, my presentation topic is symbolic significance of the title The Shadow Lines. The title The Shadow Line is one of the major concerns of the novel, that of the creation of nation with boundaries that are both arbitrary and invented. This issue becomes more partisan when viewed in the context of the partition of the Indian subcontinent, that which on surface is projected as completely opposite to another issue, the trap of house to complex this. As children, Thamma and Mayadevi witness the family dispute between their father and his elder brother that leads to the division of the house. Thamma, as a child in Dhaka house, makes stories about the upside down house and narrates them to the younger sister. In the other half of the house, these stories talk of everything as being upside down. The artificial of the otherness of the house is very evident and gives to the reader a foretaste of a similar the difference between the two sides of a partisan nation. What is significant is that the two courses of history makes them two, and they are separating this difference has to be invented. Is this ironic, therefore, that Thamma, who was herself a creator of the artificial difference, cannot see through the strangely on the stage? But if there are not any state, but if there are not any creatures or anything, however, the people to know, The case of the partition of the Indian subcontinent has been very different because the state has been forced to create a difference where none exists and shadow the nation and inherently opposite. Perhaps this division on Tama part on tantamount to a deliberate non-admission of facts that are deeply distributing. The oblivion on Tama therefore becomes a survival strategy. Nationalism to gets refined a various way through experience, whereas the great historical project of nationalism first underneath community to formulate nation in them narrates the nation. The theory sees this project as comparison of the creation of the narratives that seemingly a sense of narratives nationalism. The pleasures of one's heart that the creator of the space of the other idea. However, in the context of the Indian subcontinent, gets problem is because the otherness being talk has to be created other than merely allowed to the people allowed from nation of the Pakistan and Bangladesh are promoted through merely allowed the people in the newly formed nation of Pakistan Bangladesh are promoted through narration language significant textually rather to creation difference. A seemingly significant incident ridiculous the intense feeling a difference that these two countries otherwise harbor and how these differences are space that is outside the two. So these boundaries are the created due to political reason seem tangible enough to be called line, but it analysis closely fade away like shadow. Thank you to all to listening my presentation.
Thank you, Puja. And we have another Puja now, Puja De. Puja, you may begin your presentation.
Good morning, sir. I am a student of SBSS Mahavidyalaya Department of English. Today, my presentation topic is ecological awareness in Obhigyana Shakuntalam. So, now I am trying to summarize it. Ecology, being integral part of the world, focuses on relationship with two man and nature. Eco-criticism is also reckoned through different names: green study, environmental criticism, literary ecology. But on the top of all, the core objective behind all such writings is to understand and study the relationship between literature and physical environment. Eco-criticism deals with the study of relationship between literature and environment. In the milieu of literature, eco-criticism has its impetus on contemporary environment issues and deals with human and non-human social life. Eco-criticism, first emerging over the past few years, has offered a new area for the scholars, academicians, and critics to pursue research and study in this direction. Kalidasa's Obhigyana Shakuntalam brings forth before its readers ecology concept like as relationship between man, nature, and its prevailing culture. On the other hand, playwrights are probably known as the poets of nature. At this backdrop, the present paper makes an attempt to discuss eco-criticism in Kalidasa's Obhigyana Shakuntalam. Ecological awareness or eco-criticism covers ecosphere, which includes all human and non-human worlds. In Obhigyana Shakuntalam, the forest environment affects the actions of the characters. Through relationship with the nature, man becomes more in contact with a life which is fully of pleasure and contentment. When Kalidasa wrote Obhigyana Shakuntalam, he placed the lovely heroine of the play in the lap of Mother Nature. Shakuntala is an integral part of the flora and fauna. Dushanta just did not fall in love with the lovely lady alone. He is actually enchanted by the whole idea of an innocent natural beauty in the forest. If we place Shakuntala in concrete setting, she would not be that appealing. Shakuntala can be only conceiving on her body and with deers and birds surrounding her. Kalidas has used nature in his works. Nature is instrumental in the development of the story. Except the fifth scene, Except the fifth act of the drama, almost all the acts have their settings. Amidst nature, where one can find a perfect harmony between man and nature. Nature plays a very prominent role in the advancement of the story. Kalidasa was conscious of the fact that trees and plants are the key elements of the environment, play an imperative role in striking an ecological balance. The play opens with a benedictory verse. In Obhigyana Shakuntalam, Kalidasa describes how a man can be benefited by rich natural wealth of forest and even good health depends upon the plants. It also exhibits Kalidasa's awareness towards protection of the treasure of forest. He describes the nature can share feelings and emotions like human beings. When Shakuntala departed from hermitage and whole grove became every sad and appeared to be deserted. Kalidasa portrays Shakuntala as a daughter of Mother Nature. Shakuntala is green amidst flora and Mother Nature. Has imbibed all the good qualities of head and heart in her. So, too, he has a sisterly affection towards the trees. Compares the compares of the hermitage. The great writer find immense joy in the lap of nature as they consider man and nature are part of the organic whole living together in the supreme harmony. The writer concerned about this fact that for a fair environment both the animate and inanimate things should have equal and great significance. He presents nature vividly relating with the human feelings and emotions. The play unfolds unique human sentiment and value of nature which please to one and all. The beautiful and live description of nature, their views and thoughts definitely establish both these scholars not only as great poets of nature but also the environmentalists too. By following the eternal lesson, compassion and morals, we can be overcome from the threats of environment and can lead a life in eco-friendly world. Thank you, sir. This is all about my presentation.
Thank you, Puja. And with Puja's presentation, we have come to the end of today's program, at least the presentation of the students. And now, if any of the participants has any question regarding the papers that were presented today, the questions may be put forward. So we'll wait for a few seconds for any question coming from the participants, and if there is no question, then I would request Koushik Babu to share his views and observations on the papers which were presented today. So first, if you have any question, you may ask the question. Okay, I think after a long session, the students are not willing to put forward their question. So I'd request Koushik Babu to share his views and also his observations and give his advice to the students for not only today's program but also for their future endeavors. So Koushik, you may please
Thank you, sir.
give your
Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. And first of all, I want to remember few things. At the backdrop of this program, we know that we have the constant support from our Honorable President, Professor Anjana Mahato, and the respected teacher in charge, Shankur Kumar Dev. And we receive such types of constant support from our great teachers, senior teachers of our college. And we know these types of programs are very much vibrant in our department. And also I want to remember and want to express my heartfelt gratitude to our respected head of the department, Professor Arubratan Chakraborty and Professor Shobhan Maiti and GP sir. They have already toiled and thought out and toiled to materialize these types of student seminar program. I want to express my love for the students who presented their papers according to their own capacity, and they had prepared, they have already written this and they have already submitted it in our department, and today now they are presenting in a summary form, in a brief form, but due to short of time. I know many of our students are living in the remotest part of this Jungle Mahal area, and they has to suffer several challenges, particularly the technical. They have little technical support, but many of our students represented their paper and confidently. Particularly, I want to mention Hemal and Priyanka Duley, Priyanka Tudu, and they have represented brilliantly. Many of our other semester students, those who have shown their extraordinary curiosity and participated in this seminar and make it a successful one, and they are still present, though it is a long session, but they are still present. Hope in future students will overcome their limitations. There are very few limitations, and they are sometimes their expressions are not so much clear. Sometimes this is also from for technical problems also, and they will learn more and brilliantly present their paper in different platforms in future. I wish they are all success, and thank you all for making this session so engaging one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Koushik, for sharing his views and also giving the advice. Koushik Babu has beautifully given the points that the student should follow in their future attempts, and also he has mentioned the efforts and encouraged the students. As Koushik Babu has already given his views, and I can only mention that while presenting your paper, you should focus the objectives of the paper. That means what are the issues you are addressing, and make these points very clear. Be confident, as you have already been in this presentation. Many of the students, most of the students were very confident. And for preparing paper presentation, what you can do is to read the paper as a practice before you are going to actually present the paper on screen, and it would also give you confidence. So make that preparation. And three of the students have shared their screen. They have used PowerPoint presentation, Hemal, Priyanka Duley, and Priyanka Tudu. And apart from these these PowerPoint presentations, others also have presented their papers in a beautiful manner. And we also congratulate not only these students for presenting their paper in a beautiful manner, but also to other participants from the fourth semester, as they were also present in this event. And we know that their paper presentation is coming up after 2 days. So it would also help them to prepare their papers and to present their papers in a similar manner. A very encouraging note, I may say, that the way I would, or Koushik Babu also found the students presented their paper. And I would also like to express my gratitude to Koushik Babu for being present in this event for this long time. So we hope that it would conclude within 12 in the noon, but we have already passed that time. So thank you again, dear students, for presenting your paper, and be confident and make preparations for your final examinations. And for the fourth semester student, as your paper presentation is coming up, take cues from this paper presentation, and it would help you also to make your preparations in a better manner. So thank you all, and
thank you, sir.
Yes, and we are concluding today's event, and have a nice day. Thank you all.